Hello again, hack golfers. Ron Sisson, professional golf coach from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, with another post to Hack Golf. I believe, if you've been following along with my posts, that the striking of a golf ball is now and always has been nothing more than a simple action of human hand-eye coordination, where the conscious mind is focused on simple things like swing a club free, fluid, accelerated fast, and feeling the weight of the club carve a circular arc through the air, and then just trying to pass it as precisely through the ball as possible, which I did on that one quite nicely, and again on that one. And in the background, the subconscious mind is doing trillions of calculations of using the depth perception and distance of the ball and that information provided by the eyes. That's the eye part of hand-eye coordination. And then the hand part of hand-eye coordination is the neuromuscular control system of the body figuring out exactly what has to happen no matter where the ball is, whether it's the right distance or too far away or what it is, to pass the club head as precisely through the ball as possible. Now, that paradigm of how things really work is basically non-existent in the golf culture. The golf culture, and especially the golf teaching culture, says, no, the striking of a golf ball is actually a feat of human bioengineering, where we have to get every single part to look very closely similar to the high priest of the mechanics of the golf swing, Ben Hogan. Ben had secrets, and he basically spent countless hours digging it out of the dirt on the driving range, figuring out how to get his posture and his setup, and he had some secret move with his hands or something or other, so the story goes. But the truth is, Hogan played golf by feel, using hand-eye coordination. Now that's an interesting claim, but how do I know? Well, you'll see below this video in the text of an article that I clipped out of Golf Digest many years ago. And it was a story about, in 1985, a few years before Hogan's passing, he was in his old age, and Golf Digest had decided to reissue his famous book, The 5 Modern Lessons. Hogan agreed to an interview, and astonishingly, he also agreed to have them take pictures, frame-by-frame pictures of his golf swing. So the photographer who was taking the pictures said that Hogan would hit ball after ball after ball, and there's that tight percussive whack sound. The ball flies dead straight with a little fade on it at the end. And from what the photographer could see, Hogan was hitting the ball fantastic. But every time he hit the ball, Hogan would curse and swear. He'd hit another perfectly struck, precise shot, and then curse. Ah! I'm sure the photographer was quite confused because the quality of Hogan's shots didn't warrant a curse. At the end of the session, Hogan explained to the photographer, "I've got no depth perception. I only have one eye." In the car accident he had probably damaged the information from his eyes, and one of his eyes was failing him and got worse and worse as he got older. So essentially what happened with Hogan was the depth perception of his eyes gave him faulty information as to the whereabouts of the ball. So Hogan said, "I've got no depth perception. In order for me to hit the ball flush, I have to feel like I'm going to top it." So what was happening with Hogan was because over time his eyes were giving him, he had one good eye, one faulty eye, and he'd get this depth perception weirdness. And so when he tried to strike the ball, he started hitting the ground well before the ball and hitting fat. Now if you're Ben Hogan, I imagine you're not going to put up with that very long. So Hogan began to experiment with his feel. And what he found was that when he felt as though he was just going to barely graze the top of the ball with the bottom sole of his club, like he was just going to barely tick it, something like this. Whoops, I had too much of it that time. Let me see if I can get a perfect little tick on the top of the ball here. Now notice I'm not setting up to the top of the ball, I'm setting up to the ground. That's better. By using my skill at feeling the club head's path and arc, there, that's the one I wanted. When Hogan felt like he was going to hit that shot, that's when he heard that whack sound again. So the man who is arguably one of the best ball strikers of all time, in his old age, had to adjust the feel of where he felt the club's arc was on, feeling as if he was almost going to miss the ball entirely to make decent contact. All because the information from his eyes was faulty, and so he had to adjust what he felt with his hand skill in order to hit solid shots again. And it was frustrating for him. If you live your whole life where you see the ball, you swing, you make real crisp contact, the ball does more or less what you want it to do time after time after time, you get into your old age and now you're hitting everything fat because you get this faulty depth perception information from your aging eyes, and then to fix it you have to feel as though you're just barely going to graze the top of it. That's got to be frustrating. Now my question to those who perceive the striking of a golf ball as an exercise in human biomechanics, an endless practice to burn in a muscle memory so the muscles will remember exact perfect positions. Well, Hogan was legendary for the number of balls he hit. He was up at dawn, hit balls for hours, have lunch, go back, hit more balls. In his prime, of course, when he got older, he probably didn't hit as many balls. But the fact is, if anybody would have developed muscle memory, it would have been Ben Hogan. So why didn't he just simply rely on muscle memory? Well, the reason, as I said in the beginning, golf is now and always has been nothing more than the development of a couple of simple skills related to human hand-eye coordination. And Ben Hogan is proof positive of that fact with the issues that he had with his eyesight as he got older, and having to feel as though he was barely going to nick the top of the ball in order to make clean and precise contact. So, hack golfers, what do you think? Is golf really, the striking of golf ball, really an action of human bioengineering where we try to use endless muscle memory drills to make our muscles remember the exact position of the Hogan swing, or the Louis Oosthuizen swing, or the Adam Scott swing, or the Tom Weiskopf swing, or whoever is the golf teaching gurus have decided is the person with the best technically sound swing? Or is the striking of a golf ball, as I believe, just a simple action of human hand-eye coordination? I think the story about Ben Hogan is proof positive to that fact. Please provide your comments in the section below and let's discuss it.